You don't really understand darkness until you've stood in the middle of Tate's Hell at 2 in the morning. It isn't just dark. It's like the world forgot light ever existed. The trees tower so high that even the stars seem swallowed, and the air feels thick, like you're breathing through wet fabric. There were 4 of us that night. Me, Emma, Caleb, and Jordan. We'd driven hours out to camp near one of those barely marked trails that locals only mention with a smirk. The idea was to stargaze, drink a little, and tell ghost stories. You know, the usual nothing's gonna happen kind of plan. We set up the tent, got the fire going, and the swamp seemed peaceful. Quiet, but not the kind of quiet that makes you nervous. The frog croaked. Something splashed in the water now and then, and the air smelled like moss and smoke. I remember thinking it was beautiful in a lonely kind of way. Then, Emma noticed the lights. She was sitting by the cooler when she said, "Hey, is someone out there?" We turned, and there was this 2 perfect headlights shimmered faintly through the cypress trees. They weren't moving, just staring back. We assumed it was another camper, or maybe a ranger checking up on us, but the weird thing was how still they stayed. No flicker, no hum of an engine. The air was dead quiet. After about 5 minutes, Caleb grabbed his flashlight and stood up, muttering something about crazy swamp people. He walked a few yards toward the lights, then stopped. "They moved," he said. The rest of us squinted. And yeah, the lights had shifted. They were closer now. We thought maybe we were imagining it. You can trick your eyes pretty easily out there, especially when the fog rolls in and the moonlight catches the mist just right. But then the lights split apart. One stayed where it was. The other began drifting to our left, gliding, not driving. The sound of the swamp changed too. The frogs went silent, like someone hit mute on the whole forest. Emma whispered, "There's no road there." And she was right. That side was nothing but mud, roots, and a pool of dark water. No vehicle could have gone that way. Caleb called out, "Hey, who's out there?" No answer, just that low buzz of insects and the sound of something dripping. Maybe from the trees, maybe not. We started packing up without saying much. Everyone just knew. Whatever was watching us, it wasn't something we wanted to understand. When we got to the truck, Jordan's hands were shaking so bad he dropped the keys. The second the headlights turned on, both of those glowing orbs in the swamp flicked off. Gone. We didn't wait. We hit the gas and tore down that dirt path like the devil was behind us. Branches whipped the windshield, mud kicked up behind the tires, and every turn felt like it'd lead us deeper instead of out. Eventually, we found the main road and just sat there for a second, trying to catch our breath. Emma said, "It followed us." And at first, I thought she meant metaphorically, but she was staring at the side mirror, eyes wide. In the reflection, through the haze, 2 faint lights glowed, far down the dirt road. They didn't move. They didn't fade. They just watched. When we got back home, no one really wanted to talk about it. I didn't even tell my family we'd gone out there, just crashed on the couch and tried to sleep. The next morning, Emma texted me. She said she'd checked the dashcam footage, just to prove we weren't crazy. I drove over to her place, and the moment I saw her face, I knew something was wrong. She looked pale, like she hadn't slept at all. "It's not what we saw," she said. "It's what we didn't." She hit play. You could hear us laughing, setting up camp, the crackle of the fire, and then the silence, right before the lights appeared. The camera caught the woods, the tent, the clearing, but no headlights, no glow, nothing. But then, just before we ran to the truck, 4 tall, thin shapes appeared behind the tent, not walking, not moving, just standing. They were completely still, lined up like they'd been watching the whole time. Caleb's voice in the background said, "They moved," right as one of the shapes turned its head toward the camera. The screen glitched just for a second, and then everything went black. Emma paused it there. She deleted the file right after. But she told me something I'll never forget. "The camera wasn't recording when that happened," she said quietly. "It was off." A few days later, Jordan's truck battery died in his driveway. He said when he popped the hood, there were strange, muddy handprints smeared along the inside of the windshield. Too big to be his, too wide to belong to any of us. Caleb swore he heard something outside his window one night. Soft tapping, like fingers on glass. He moved to Tallahassee 2 weeks later. As for Emma, she doesn't go near the woods anymore. She says sometimes, when she's driving home late, she'll catch a glimpse of 2 headlights in her rearview mirror, perfectly still, no sound, no car. She said they always vanish right when she blinks. You ever stare at something for so long, you start doubting your own eyes. That's what happened to me out at Groom Sector 9. One of those nameless desert patches the government doesn't talk about. I was stationed there for 6 months as a drone operator. Basically, I sat in a steel box for 12 hours a night, watching black and white footage of endless sand. We weren't testing weapons or anything wild, just monitoring flight zones for trespassers, weather anomalies, and the occasional lost hiker who wandered too far into the restricted range. Nothing ever happened. For weeks, it was just silence. That dry kind of silence that makes your own heartbeat sound loud. Then came the first light. It was a faint red flare low on the horizon. I remember checking my radar, expecting to see a tag pop up. Aircraft, flare test, something nothing. Just static. I radioed my shift partner, Diaz, who was monitoring the southern feed. "Hey, you seen that?" "Seeing what?" he said. "The flare. North Range." He laughed. "There's no flare, dude. You've been staring at that screen too long." But it didn't fade. It hung there, burning red, hovering just above the sand. When I blinked, it was gone. The next night, I saw 2. Red and white, same place. I zoomed in on the thermal feed. Nothing registered, just cold, empty desert. The radar sweep didn't pick them up either. I thought maybe it was lens glare, but when I leaned back, I realized the lights were still visible. Not on the monitor, but through the window. Actual flares. Out there, maybe 6 miles beyond the perimeter fence. I called it in again. The response was almost immediate. Control told me, "No live tests scheduled. Stay in position. Do not engage." That should have been the end of it. But then, a few seconds later, another voice came through the static. Quieter, almost overlapping the main feed. "Keep your eyes on them. Don't look away." It wasn't protocol. It wasn't even on the same channel. I froze. My headset crackled again, and the line went dead. By the 4th night, everyone at the base was teasing me about the UFO lights. Diaz even drew a cartoon of me saluting a bunch of fireworks. I laughed along with it. But deep down, I wasn't joking anymore. The lights were getting closer. Every night they crept a few hundred feet toward base, always in the same order: red, white, then blue. No sound, no heat signature, no explanation. I checked archived footage the next day, rewound the drone feed frame by frame. Nothing. The entire section of sky was black. But when I paused at one particular timestamp, I noticed something strange in the sand. Footprints. Not human, not animal. Just perfectly round impressions in a circle. Maybe 20 feet wide. Like something heavy had been standing there. When I zoomed in, the pixels distorted. For a second, the entire image glitched, and my own face flashed on the screen. Just one frame. I thought I imagined it until the system froze and forced a manual reboot. After that, I started seeing the lights even off shift. One morning, I woke up in the barracks and saw a faint blue glow seeping through the blinds. It wasn't dawn yet. When I opened the door, the light was gone, replaced by tire marks in the sand, leading straight out to the restricted sector. That day, Command pulled me into an office and told me to stop filing incident reports about visual anomalies. They said whatever I was seeing was atmospheric refraction or eye fatigue. But that night, I decided to prove it wasn't in my head. I synced one of our surveillance drones to manual control and flew it directly toward the coordinates of the last flare. For 10 minutes, it was normal. Sand, shadows, ridges. Then, without warning, the feed filled with static. A voice cut through, my commanding officer's voice. "Do not acknowledge it. Just keep flying." I froze. The same words came again, more distorted this time. "Do not acknowledge it." I tried switching channels, but every frequency echoed the same line, slightly delayed, like a recording feeding back on itself. Then the drone camera steadied. Through the haze I saw myself, standing in the middle of the desert, same uniform, same headset, looking directly up at the drone. And then the image folded, like a ripple through glass, and the feed cut to black. I don't remember falling asleep, but when I came to, it was morning. My CO was standing over me, asking why I'd left my post. I told him to check the feed. He did. Nothing was there. Not the lights, not the static, not even my drone flight path. The system logs showed zero activity during my entire shift. They grounded me for 72 hours, citing fatigue and hallucination risk. But that night, lying in the barracks, I heard something outside. A slow, rhythmic hum. Mechanical, but wrong. Too organic. I peeked through the blinds and saw the horizon pulsing. Red, white, blue. Then a fourth color joined, yellow, hovering directly over the perimeter tower. I pressed my hand against the window, and I swear, for a second, the glass pulsed back. The following day, a search crew was dispatched to recalibrate some sensors near Sector 4. The same area I'd seen the lights. Only one truck returned. The driver was pale, shaking, barely able to speak. He said they'd found tracks out there, burned into the sand, forming perfect circles, as if something had melted its way downward. When I asked if they found anything else, he said, "We found a headset, still warm." No one claimed it. On my last night before reassignment, I couldn't resist. I powered up one of the archived thermal systems after hours and set it to sweep the range automatically. Halfway through the scan, the monitor flickered. Then Out of nowhere, every camera across every sector picked up the same reading, a circular heat bloom expanding outward from the desert center. And inside it, movement. It wasn't one figure, it was dozens, all standing perfectly still, shoulder to shoulder, arranged in a ring. Each one had the same thermal outline, the same height, the same posture. One by one, their heads tilted upward toward the camera, and then every system crashed. They shut down the range 2 days later, said it was a communications interference event. We were relocated to another site, but last week I got a call from Diaz. He sounded nervous. He said the new base's radar logs are picking up lights again, same pattern. Red, white, blue. And in the security feed from the observation deck, he saw someone standing out there in the sand. Same posture, same stance. But the weird part, the uniform looked exactly like mine.